Good morning. In our reflection on the Moravian reading today, we're looking at Colossians 2:11 to 23. This is a key part of Paul's desire to help the Colossian Christians not to fall for the lies that they need to follow Jewish traditions. The lie was circulating that putting your faith in Jesus was a great start to Christian life, but to really experience it in all its fullness, then you have to embrace the requirements of the law. So this is one of the central themes in Paul's letter to the Galatians. And so here he is keen to repeat it to protect the Colossian Christians from falling into the same falsehood. I want to look today at three alls in our text. The first is in verse 11, and in the Passion Translation it says, all of the guilt and power of sin has been cut away and is now extinct because of what Christ, the Anointed One, has accomplished for us. All of the guilt and power of sin is now extinct because of Christ. You know, it's not some of the guilt, but all of it. It's not like some of the power of sin, but all of it. Jesus dealt with it all. And he didn't deal with it temporarily. He didn't pack it away in a cupboard until you got it out again. No, Paul says it is all extinct. It no longer exists. It can be nothing more than a distant memory for you. You know, if you find yourself struggling with guilt or the power of sin, then know today that Jesus dealt with it all. The way to find freedom, isn't to focus on the sin, but to focus on the King. He's the one who has dealt with the death blow to sin in all our lives, all of it. The second all is in verse 14, is referring to the legal charge that was against us before Christ. The Passion Translation says in verse 14, he cancelled out every legal violation we had on our record, and the old arrest warrant that stood to indict us, he erased it all. So not only is the guilt and power of sin now extinct, Jesus has also erased the very basis on which you and I were convicted. There's no charge against us any longer. In church history, there is a dramatic moment in 1517 when Martin Luther nailed 95 theses to the door of the church in Wittenberg. Many see this as the start of Protestantism, a statement of the truth for all to see. Here in verse 14, Paul says that all the laws we were subject to, Jesus took and nailed to the cross permanently, there as a public display of cancellation. And the final all is Jesus. Jesus is all we need. We don't need to add to the work of the cross some self-effort or religious observance. We don't need to make up some shortfall or incompleteness in the work that Christ did. We're not saved if we have faith plus some sort of discipline. No, Jesus has done it all. Verse 19 in our passage tells us that we received directly from him. He is the head of the church, and it grows by the supernatural power of God. Paul uses the analogy of a shadow to refer to the Jewish law. When you see a shadow, it looks sort of vaguely like the thing causing the shadow, but it isn't it. I often get the joy of playing chase the shadow with my grandchildren. Basically, they run around trying to catch my shadow, and I hopefully dodge them, though with definitely less running involved. But when they catch my shadow, they haven't really caught me. And it certainly isn't as satisfying as when we play chase and they catch me or I catch them and we get to have a hug. In the same way, Paul is saying, why bother with all the stuff that was a shadow of Jesus coming when you can have Jesus himself? I pray today that you will know that all the guilt and power of sin is gone from your life. and that you'll know that all the grounds of accusation the enemy uses against you, Jesus has nailed to the cross and declared them baseless. And also that all of Jesus is all you need to enter into all that he has for you, both today and forever. Be blessed.